Hey everyone, welcome back. It's time for another edition of the Pick Six. I'm your host, Mike Wobschall, inside TCO Studios in Eagan with 6 really good questions from you guys. Thanks for sending them in. Now, let's answer them. The first one comes from Patrick. Do you have an update on Brian ONeill? Yeah, the Vikings right tackle has missed some practice time of late with an injury. Now, head coach Mike Zimmer is the one who handles the injury update, so pay attention to his press conference on Wednesday for more clues about that. But here's the good news. He's on the 53-man roster. If he was truly injured for the long term, the Vikings had options in terms of reserve lists. So I have a good feeling about Brian ONeill's chances to play early in this season, maybe even in week 1. We also have some capable backups at offensive tackle, so we should be in good shape either way. Question number 2 comes from Adam in Phoenix, Arizona. How do you think Adam Thielen will do against the top corners in the league? Well, I got a pretty good feeling about this one. We've seen opposing defenses put their best cornerback on Adam Thielen for the last couple of seasons. And what did Adam do? Well, he had 100 yards in like the first 9 games last season. So there are some good corners that we're going to come up against early this season. And opposing defenses are going to have to decide. Are we putting that guy on number 19 right there? Or are we going to put that guy on number 14? Because Stefon Diggs can be a problem as well. Either way, I love our matchups against any secondary in the league. Next question comes from Carter in Flagstaff, Arizona. Who do you think will get targeted more, Diggs or Thielen? Ooh, tough to say. Here in week 1 against the Atlanta Falcons, I think the Vikings are going to see a lot of man coverage. So whoever is creating more separation against their defender is probably going to see more targets. But the beautiful thing about those 2 receivers right there, 14 and 19, Diggs and Thielen, they can play outside, they can play inside. We can mix and match them in a lot of different formations and a lot of different looks. So I think it's going to be a week-to-week thing as to who gets targeted more. I have a feeling this is a fantasy football question. I think no matter which one you get on your team, you're going to be happy. Next question comes from Ray in Oregon. With our injury history at running back, do you see the Vikings keeping more running backs on this year's roster than in previous years? We put this one in there because Ray was clairvoyant. He sent this question before final roster cuts were made, and Ray was right. There was a big debate. Mike Boone or Amir Abdullah? Who are you going to keep? Well, the Vikings decided to keep both of them. And they have 5 running backs / fullbacks on the roster this year. I think it's less because of injury concerns and more because both guys deserve to be on the 53-man roster, and both guys, perhaps more importantly, can help on special teams. That guy right there, CJ Ham, he's a good lead blocker, and he can help on special teams as well, and we're all excited about the rookie running back, Alexander Madison. The next question comes from Jackson. What are we doing with Jake Browning? Here's what we're doing. We're going to develop him. The young quarterback looked really good in the Vikings offseason program and in training camp. Now, he didn't get a ton of reps in the preseason, but that's okay. He's in a very good situation here with the Vikings because he's behind 2 veterans, Kirk Cousins and Sean Mannion, and he's on a team that has really good quarterback developers on the coaching staff. Gary Kubiak, Clint Kubiak, and Kevin Stefanski. Let's see what we got in Jake Browning. He's going to have a year at least to develop. Next question comes from Paul in Seattle. Do you think any of our running backs will line up outside or in the slot in the first few games? Do any of them have the skill set to be effective there? Yes, Paul, they do. First of all, let's make note that the Vikings kept 4 receivers on the initial 53-man roster. Then they added a 5th this week. Normally they keep 5 or 6, so maybe they're thinking our running backs can help every now and then as a receiver, and that's why we were light on the wide receiver number. But yeah, I mean, Amir Abdullah worked with the receivers from time to time in the offseason program, and actually Mike Boone played a little slot receiver in college at the University of Cincinnati. So we're good when it comes to pass-catching running backs. Dalvin Cook can do it. Alexander Madison can do it as well. That's going to do it for this week's edition of the Pick Six. Thank you for sending in some awesome questions to kick off the regular season. Now, we're going to be back next week after the season opener against the Falcons. So send in some questions about that game and send in some questions about our Week 2 matchup against the Green Bay Packers. Use the email address at the bottom of the screen. As always, we'll see you next week.